With huge losses predicted for the rest of 2023, Ford CEO Jim Farley has been backed into a corner and is now being forced to make some bold decisions to secure the future of EVs, closing down dealerships, cutting jobs, and dropping prices. Ford's doing it all. The question is, are these the right moves? And more importantly, how did the company land in this position in the first place? Let's find out. The EV market has been navigating a period of volatility, with automakers forced to drop the prices in the US. With Tesla kicking off the trend in January 2023, legacy manufacturers like Ford had to follow through. The American automaker dropped the prices of the Mustang Mach-E by $4,000 recently. What's more, Ford announced a price cut of up to 8% for its electric crossover on May 2nd, making it the second drop in prices for the flagship EV. Given the current circumstances, company CEO Jim Farley decided to give his 2 cents on the situation. While speaking at a Wall Street Journal, Jim compared the Tesla fuel price war to Henry Ford's price cuts for the Model T back in 1913. Surprisingly, Jim does not belong to the group of people who think that Ford's decision was the right one. In fact, he, like many others, thinks that the price cuts put the company at risk, further driving his point home by stating that the resale value for people who end up buying the car at higher prices is awful. It's something they won't easily forget. That said, Jim reiterated that you do not want to commoditize the product, and even though there is a price war going on, there's a limit to how far Ford's willing to go. Jim's apprehension about the recent price cuts is understandable given the loss that the company has faced. According to the company's reports for the first quarter of 2023, Ford's experienced a loss of $722 million and is projected to lose $3 billion more later throughout the year. If Tesla continues to drop further prices, it's very unlikely that the automaker will follow through. However, the EV maker could try doing something else. Ford could look into pulling funds from its Ford Blue ICE division and Ford Pro commercial vehicle unit in case it wants to keep pace with Tesla in the price wars. That said, it is highly unlikely that Ford will blindly be following its longtime competitor. General Motors recently announced phasing out the Apple CarPlay software in future models, the feature that allowed customers to mirror their smartphone screen on their car's dashboard. Following GM's announcement, it was expected that Ford will follow suit, but that doesn't seem to be the case. The Michigan-based automotive manufacturer made it clear that Ford will not be dropping CarPlay and Android Auto, explaining that 70% of Ford customers in the US are Apple users. While the company deserves praise for sticking to its guns in a changing market, the question here is just how does Ford plan to secure its EV future in the middle of a price war? Well, the automotive manufacturer has a couple of bold things in mind. It all starts with a new EV plant. CEO Jim Farley responded to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres' call for climate action on all fronts in March 2023 by unveiling plans for a new green manufacturing plant, calling it a game changer for the company. Farley revealed that the plant will be introducing 6,000 American jobs with a capacity in the hundreds of thousands. But more importantly, the plant will be green. It won't just focus on producing green cars, but it'll also run on green electricity. The company is hoping that with this plant, they'll be much closer to seeing an 8% operating profit margin on EVs. Other than that, Ford is working on coming out with a new electric pickup truck called Project T3, with manufacturing set to take place at the new plant. According to Jim, T3 will be taking its place as Lightning's successor and will come with a fully updatable software. Farley clearly has big plans for T3, proudly claiming that it will be the first car where drivers will be able to sleep while riding the Ford truck on the highway. It's important to point out that while the company is looking forward to starting a new chapter in its EV journey, it's still paying special attention to learning from its mistakes. Addressing the recent battery fires, Farley pointed out that the company is looking to change up its battery chemistry to ensure fewer risks. At the same time, Ford will be investing in an LMP battery plant in Michigan. With all that said, the company expects to earn somewhere between $9 billion and $11 billion in 2023. And through the shift to EVs, it is an expensive one. Ford will be focusing all of its efforts to bring down these losses. According to Farley, the first step will be to design simple yet efficient vehicles and then drive up production, and they want to do this with less labor content. In other words, Ford wants to change the way things are done entirely. However, so far, the company seems to be experiencing more losses than wins given the earning reports of the first quarter of the fiscal year 2023. Farley has provided an explanation for these numbers, laying much of the blame on the company's dysfunctionality. According to what the third-year CEO had to say at the Wolfie Global Auto Tech conference, Farley plans to address this by cutting costs and cutting people, while making sure that they're addressing the efficiency of their engineering supply chain and manufacturing as well. Splitting Blue Oval into 3 divisions, with each division focusing on a different market in 2022, was done to ensure exactly this. And it's proven to be the right decision, with executives coming forward and saying that the new decision is running more smoothly than before. Still, Ford has a long way to go, as executives acknowledge that the issues still are persistent in the new system. That said, not all of Ford's future's bold changes are as promising and as bright as building new plants. As the legacy business gears up to introduce new jobs in its home country, the story is quite different from across the sea. Ford announced in February 2023 that it will be cutting down to almost 3,800 product developmental and administrational jobs across Europe. For people asking, the automaker's move has everything to do with rising costs and the need to switch up to electrification. The legacy manufacturer is going full steam ahead on that front by investing almost $50 billion in the EV sector by 2023. But with the switch, the question about the fate of the entire base of operations dealing with internal combustion engines that have been working for years remains in the air. Just what happens to these production lines that have employed people for decades? Well, exactly this. Ford will shut them down. Already, the US automaker has announced that it will be cutting over 1,300 jobs in the UK, 2,300 in Germany, and then 200 across the rest of Europe. The cuts will focus on not just one department, but will include people from both administrative and engineering divisions, with a special focus on the company's technical center in Dustin, Essex. There will be little no need to design work on internal combustion engines, especially if the European emission standards are met before the 2025 deadline. Interestingly, Ford's decision does not come as a surprise to analysts and specialists who have seen this coming. But before anyone decides to call out Ford for its decision to cut back on jobs, it's worth pointing out that the company's main focus is still on creating more opportunities and exploring more avenues for expanding the EV empire. Analysts can find all the proof of Ford's strategy to look towards the future in its most recent collaboration. In February 2023, the US car manufacturer revealed that it will be working with a Chinese supplier on brand new state-of-the-art battery plants. It will be a $3.5 billion investment in Ford's home state, Michigan. The news definitely came as a shock given the recent tensions between the states and China. However, to make one thing clear, Ford will be the one running the show throughout a whole world-owned subsidiary. Initially, many suspected that Ford will be operating the new facility as a joint venture with Mattel, but that's not the case here. Instead, the legacy automaker will be following examples set forth by other US manufacturers with non-China partners. The plant is expected to come to a complete construction in 2026 and will be providing around 2,500 people with jobs. That said, it's clear that the Detroit automaker is trying its best to recover from its losses and even making bold moves like closing dealerships and partnering up with China. But questions about whether these are the right moves and will Ford see a return of its investment remain unanswered. And that's a wrap. Until next time.